The path to the Final Four is wide open for the UCLA Bruins, but can Jaime Jacquez Jr. even walk that path? And what exactly are the LA Kings going to do for the NHL trade deadline? I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is Faithful Angelenos. So we've been adding new subscribers every single day. We added a couple more yesterday. Thank you for doing that. Feel free to clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. After all, we put a new video out every day between 9 and 10 a.m. just to get you guys caught up. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comments. I am not God. I do not know everything. I'm recording this video a little bit early because I'm going to be heading to the airport and flying back out to the humble turd farmers of Des Moines, Iowa. Spent a couple of days in the gym. That was actually kind of nice because after all, eating sticks of butter for breakfast out in Iowa, not exactly great for the midsection. It's kind of funny though, they have an advertisement there for something called Revive. It's basically for these hot young girls who spend the night partying a little too much out in Vegas. They wake up hungover, they have an IV, all sharing their IVs in their arms, and I'm sitting there like, guys, if you have to wake up every morning and have somebody just drive out from nowhere and jam a needle into your arm, you don't need Revive, you need rehab. There are interventions for those sort of things. So, March 20th, what happened in the last 24 hours? Tiger Campbell scores 16 points. UCLA advances to the Sweet 16. They defeat St. Mary's 72-56. They're going to face North Carolina on Friday. We'll have a little bit more on that in a moment. Vegas 5. The Kings won in their last game before the NHL trade deadline. A little more on that in a moment too. Washington 127, the Lakers 119, and in a very painful afternoon for me and for my friends over at the Diggity, Orlando City 1, Galaxy 0. Today, Vancouver comes into LA. They take on LAFC at 7 p.m. That's a game you can watch on ESPN+. Now, to the news and notes. First, UCLA. We were talking about this a couple of days ago. Very balanced team. 4 Bruins in double figures, all between the 14 to 16 point range. Definitely a good balanced team. By the way, they are the 4th seeded team. Number 1 seed, Baylor, out. Number 2 seed, Kentucky, out. Everything was coming up roses. And then Jaime Jacquez Jr. falls in a big mess of tears and pain. It's hard to say. It's a right ankle. Now, they are trying to tell you at this moment that it's a day-to-day injury. Perhaps it is. I'm certainly not in the locker room, but for Pete's sake, the guy fell again under the bleachers trying to get into the locker room. That doesn't seem to be a day-to-day injury thing to me. I mean, there are 2 types of ankle injuries, ones that last maybe a couple of weeks, and ones that last a little longer than a month. So, possibly tough times ahead for the Bruins. Now, we've all established that the Lakers are not a lot of fun to watch, but at some point we're going to have to give LeBron James his respect. Yesterday, he scores 21 points, passes Karl Malone. He's now the number 2 all-time leading scorer in the NBA. Frank Vogel said we have to appreciate it. He's right. We do have to appreciate it. Because here's the thing. He's very likely going to pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for number 1. LeBron has scored 27 points on average for his entire career. Barring catastrophic injury, if he keeps that pace up, he will pass the captain in about 54 games. That's midway through next year. We might actually have to reopen this whole argument about how great LeBron James is, despite the fact that the Lakers stink right now. I mean, he could score 40,000 points. Very definite possibility. Also with the Lakers, Malik Monk says he wants to stay with the Lakers long term. He's 24, and apparently he has a fetish for losing. The Rams yesterday, they did the right thing for two of their players. Quarterback Matthew Stafford re-ups 4 years, $160 million. You can gawk and be impressed by that. I'm just like, hey, he's still on the team. Who is not on the team? They have traded wide receiver Robert Woods to Tennessee. They did not get much back for him. A sixth-round pick. They do clear up about $10 million in salary cap space. Now, CBSSports.com, that's a website I respect a lot there, is saying that he was unceremoniously traded. I disagree. Just because you only get a sixth-round pick does not mean you did that the player sucks or that the player got slapped on his way out the door. He got traded to a good team that fits his style of play. Play action passes. They need a guy who blocks as well as catches. That's Robert Woods to a T. He's a terrific all-around receiver. He could have been traded to the Jets for better picks. So no, that's not unceremonious. Give the Rams a break. Khalil Mack restructures his contract for the Chargers. I don't really know if there's anything big that's going to come about from that. They've already restructured the defense in Brandon Staley's image. I'm assuming it's something that maybe might go and help their offensive line. And in the meantime, over at the Galaxy game, 20 shots, 1 defensive breakdown, game over. Here's what really drives it. The entire game was frustrating. I know what it is to be frustrated. Some of my friends who are Galaxy fans have told me that some of the other people there broke out in the chant. There is another video about the chant at LAFC games. We have to call out our own. If you are a Galaxy fan like I am and you hear that chant, you've got to pull that person aside and let them know it ain't cool. And if they refuse, you got to snitch. Give them a chance to stop it. And if they don't, snitch. We have cheered for gay players. I have said this before, and in addition to that, in Galaxy history, we have cheered for openly gay players who were damn good at what they did. We can't disrespect the memory of Robbie Rogers that way. We cannot have the chant at Dignity Health Sports Park. We have a deeper recap of yesterday's game also on my channel. It was a rapid recap done yesterday. Feel free to look at that. It gives details as why we should be upset at Kevin Cabral. But I want to get to the main topic, the LA Kings. The LA Kings right now are exceeding expectations. And so there is going to be a question. What do they do with regards to Monday afternoon's trade deadline in the NHL? And I'm going to tell you something. They are a buyer, but how much of a buyer are they? Because this is a team right now that's on the rise. If the playoffs started today, they're in. They're in for the first time in years, and they do a lot of things right. But I don't think I would expect a big blockbuster move by general manager Rob Blake. There's a variety of reasons. He was an aggressive seller when the team stunk. He got a bunch of draft picks. He's hit on a lot of those draft picks. But we don't know necessarily how some of these draft picks are going to come out. We really don't know. So he was an aggressive seller, definitely an aggressive drafter, but an aggressive buyer? I don't know. So it's been super quiet. Their question marks right now are depth. The core of the youngsters not ready to contend. So do you break the bank for that? I would say no, because they're not ready yet. Why would you overpay for a superstar or a higher echelon player when the rest of the core can't follow suit yet? So I wouldn't do a rental for a title run. I also looked over the roster. I think the player on the roster now most likely to be traded is Andreas Athanasiou. I don't think he goes out in their long-term plans. He's up, he's down. He's not necessarily consistent. That's something you're going to want from a championship team. I think basically right now you look at the Kings' prior core when they won titles. Look, everybody loves Anze Kopitar. I love Anze Kopitar. I think he's a terrific two-way player. But is he the centerpiece of a championship team now? No, I don't think so. He's not. He's up in his 30s. You like Drew Doughty. You like Jonathan Quick. But can they also, in their mid-30s, carry a team on their back in the playoffs? Maybe quick. Maybe. Don't know. Don't think so. So you go down the list, and it's very difficult to try to say who is their centerpiece on the current roster. It's either too young or too old. I think they're basically doing right by their veterans by actually giving them one more shot to go to be in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So it's also been established that the Kings have a high bunch of high-end prospects. They arguably have the best minor league system in the NHL. But what do you trade for? Well, you normally try to rent somebody who would get you into the championship, or you would trade for a younger prospect who's going to boost you long term. I guess that's ultimately the point. All of these younger players for long-term projects, that's what the Kings already have. So why trade? Why would you trade multiple pieces who could build into something for somebody who could build it? That is illogical. It falls on its face. And also, in addition to that, the teams who have those young players who could build into something, they're asking for the moon and the stars. Jacob Chichron, the 23-year-old defenseman from Arizona, he has a nice contract, but they want a lot for him out in Arizona. And I can't blame them. Arizona sucks. The Vegas Golden Knights earlier this year, they traded for a center. They sent a boatload of draft picks and prospects. Why would you do that? Why would you trade multiple potential for potential? It doesn't make sense. Jake DeBrusk of Boston, the left winger, he's up and down. He's streaky. Same thing. Why would you do it? So no, I don't think so. Because in addition to that, the other people you would trade for are all in their mid-30s or higher. Claude Giroux of Philly was thought to be on that list. He's 34, but he got traded yesterday. He's in Florida. Mark Giordano, the captain of the Kraken, he's a defenseman. He's also 38. There's no way you break the bank for that unless you're on the cusp of a title. The Kings aren't there yet. There are two names that I would consider possible to come in. One would be Dallas defenseman John Klingberg, 29. I think the Stars might ask for too much. And also Connor Garland, a left winger from the Vancouver Canucks. He's 26. The Kings are weak on left wing. They have a lot of depth of center prospects. They have a lot of depth for defense prospects, but they do not have a lot of prospects on the wing. Some of their center prospects in the minor leagues, the Kings want to actually try them out at wing to see if they'll fit in the NHL. You could get Connor Garland for a prospect or two and solve a problem. Now that might be the solution they go for. We will find out by noon tomorrow when that deadline comes up. I went a little long today, but hey, such is life. There was a lot to talk to. If you enjoyed this broadcast, like I said, every day we do come out with content about LA sports. Feel free to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. My name is James. Thank you for watching. Faithful Angelenos Sports is a Quian Corte El Queso production. Have a good Sunday.